Hey YouTube, it's Burger Bob or Aiden, whatever you want to call me. I'm back after a couple months or a month or something between now and my last video. I've been really busy teaching, going to school, and playing. I just haven't had a lot of time. This quarter has been super crazy for me, taking two of the hardest classes. I'm in the top orchestra, I'm playing, teaching, Pacific Crest, bunch of stuff. So, just haven't had a lot of time to make these videos. Um, Anyway, after making that equipment choice video recently, I think that was my last video, I changed equipment and I got some new stuff. So, I want to show you my new Con 88H. Take the slide off because that's part of the fun. Put my other slide over here. So, here's my new 88H. This is a early production Generation 2 model from Con, built in Elkhart, Indiana. No, East Lake, Ohio. There we go. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, this is built in 1993. So it's early Generation 2. It still has string linkage. It still has a Remington lead pipe. We'll talk about that in a second. And it has like a really simple engraving, and it has a Con engraving on the inside of the bell, which I think is like the coolest thing ever. And if you can see the bell here at all, I'm not sure if you can, it is super beat up, and someone rolled it out and made it straight again. But I think someone must have like run this over with a car. This is all great, but the bell is just, whew, it's awesome stuff, man. But the valve works really well, and it plays really well, so I just don't care. And let's get to the slide. So it came with this slide, which is a Remington lead pipe and receiver slide. What that means is that instead of a Morse shank, which is what the large shank is that we all know and love, it has a Remington shank receiver. See how short that is? How little of it actually goes into the horn? That's just a different taper. The amount of degrees that the shank tapers by is, it's like 5 different than Morse taper. And so less of it goes in. And that means you can't use a normal Morse taper mouthpiece like this in one of these horns because it'll wobble and it won't really fit and it won't really play very well. So you're stuck with using the Remington mouthpiece, which is what originally came with these, and this came with in 1983 also. And what's cool is it plays really well. Maybe not with me behind it, but it plays really well. The problem is, of course, is that the Remington is very old school. It's got a really small throat. It's just not big on the inside at all. It's really comfortable, but it gets really that old school, not quite small bore sound, but just kind of smaller sound. And that doesn't really jive today in a lot of things. I think I would use it in certain settings, but maybe not in an orchestra. So I have another Con slide here, an 88H slide from a school horn with a Morse receiver. That's the only difference. The lead pipe is relatively the same. It's just the receiver that's different. And this one just has way worse action and no slide springs, which is okay with me, except for the slide action, of course. And it's a little more comfortable for me. Maybe you can't hear it because I can't play tenor to save my life. But I can put more air through it because this Dennis Wick has a larger throat. And it's just more comfortable. The rim is larger. It's deeper. For a bass trombonist like me, it's just more comfortable. And you may have noticed this has a closed wrap. So the difference between closed and open wrap, of course, is that closed wrap is worse and open wrap is better because it doesn't have as many bends, and it's just obvious it should be better, right? Not quite. The reasons behind changing to open wrap horns on everything are kind of lost in the ages of time, like, why did we do that? It doesn't really make any sense. It's basically because Bach and Con, not so much Con, mainly Bach, had really small valves on their horns, and they thought they'd make the horns better by adding an open wrap to solve that problem. And it does make a difference, but mainly that difference is bracing. If you notice on this, there's one bell brace here, and then this is a tuning slide brace that doesn't count. There's no brace here. On an open wrap horn, there's brace here, big similar brace right here, and these braces are all completely different. So that changes how the horn plays completely. Like there's no contact here like this. This is soldered here, and this is soldered on 88 HOs, the open wrap version, but it's still not quite the same. So it's not so much how it blows, but how it just responds and feels. And actually, as long as you don't try to make a note happen below the staff or in the staff like a C and B, then this responds really well. I mean, I can play everything I want to play on it. I just can't make the note happen. On a Thayer valve, like 42 or 88H, those exist, you can kind of just make a note happen and it'll happen every time. On this, you kind of have to be careful or it'll back up on you. As long as you're careful, it doesn't really matter. So there's my little overview of my new tenor, which is much better than my last Bach, and it was only $500, so not much I could lose. Next video will be about my new bass. What is it?